So we're just going to keep repeating it because the basis of it's simple, but the getting of it is not simple at all. So it's just a case of repeating it over and over again to help you understand how it works. So I'm going to work on this one now because I worked on that one yesterday and we did what we could see on that in order to be able to get her profile working nicely. It's very nice actually coming back the following day and you can see things immediately actually that you couldn't see before. So now I'm going to orientate it this way and look at that image there. So behind her eye here, I can see nothing. And this goes up at a stronger angle. So what I'm just doing is just... Could you turn the music down, huh?
Videoing you.
Oh, right.
Lucy, could you turn the music down?
So I'm just getting this to look like this, but you're being very careful about it. So the key to it, and I just repeat it over and over again, is that you must keep your measurements. As soon as the measurements go and you let go of them, it doesn't work. So it's quicker doing this one because I've done the other one, just done the other one. Now I'm gonna, you go backwards and forwards, you don't just spend ages on one image. I will go backwards and forwards now because I've got a feeling just doing this one that I have compromised this one now. And that's natural, that's gonna happen all the time because as you're adjusting this one, you're accidentally unadjusting the one that you've just done. And so you have to go back over it again just to check out what you've done. So there's not much on this side. So here, to make this look like this, there is the new line there. That one for here is still there actually, so it's just to the side of it. So they're incredibly close together. Our eye cover fold's looking good. This is looking good, except it's looking slightly too upright, I think. So still find the right stool, naturally.
How long does this bit normally take you to go to the
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah. It's could I borrow somebody's clay dresser? I've lost mine. Yeah. Thank you. So the forehead is leaning back. So your ability to see these different shapes and forms grows as you practice it. Oh, thanks, Danny. Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
You haven't got an arm there.
Yeah, it's the red one just outside the door there.
Okay.
It's all right. I'll sort it out later.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'll sort it out later.
Leave it there.
Now, as you're doing this, you're also doing the eyes. We're going to do the eyes together, actually, because there are a set of rules to the eyes that we need to cover. But at the moment, you're just putting little bits of clay on them just to make it work with your photographs. Right, so now I've altered this one as I was working. I had to put on more, I took away some clay here because it would have got in the way of that image. So I put the clay in the wrong place. So in order to be able to get what I want from this image, I'm going to put the clay to create this angle here. I'm going to have to put it further back. If I put it back where it was, it's going to be, I'll just be going around in circles. So I'm putting the clay on further back. And what happens when you're doing this, and what all of you have done, is you've focused more on the full frontal than anything else. And everything starts to come forwards. And it's so important not to let that happen. So we need that little bit just there, which you can see here on the photograph, but it's definitely not there on this one. So when I turn it to here, I get a completely different image. That means that this bit of clay that enables me to get that image must be further back. And it's all about dimensions, this. In its way, it's fascinating, but in another way, it makes it very difficult. We all think we live in a three-dimensional world. We really believe that. When I'm looking at you, I can't see the backs of your head, so therefore I can't see in 3 dimensions. I can only see in 2. So everything that you see around you is something that you fundamentally believe in, but it's not strictly true. And when you apply it to this, it makes it quite complicated actually. It makes you really think about how dimensions work. So that bit here that makes this read like this in this photograph is not here where I put it, which was right there. It's right back here. And now I get that image here, and I get that image here on the eyes. And that's how it works. And because I've done that, I can now start to fill in around here. So there has dictated exactly how wide that area is. So now everything coming back from that will be that width, coming away, blending in beautifully. So now you can do that just like that. And it's important that you do, because otherwise it stays a whole load of very strange marks really, because these marks here, now, so that last bit was right there, that's where it was. The bit for that photograph is right there. And then we've got that there, is that image there, and this bit here is that one there. So all you're getting is a few lines down there, and everything blends into those lines now. So once you've got them, for example, I'm not going to get much more information on her face here because it's going to disappear behind her mouth by the time it gets to here. So from the node, that I know the node is there because that's my measurement there. We hashtag that. That's my measurement where the cheek reaches the node. So all I've got to do is blend this in now into the lines that I've already made, because there's nothing complicated about the face. It just goes from one point to another. Unless you've got a really gnarly old man or something, then you do get differences. But on the whole, it is, and particularly with Kira, you've got this lovely youthful look. I'm going to do this one now. So what I want you to, you shouldn't do this, by the way. When you're doing it, the discipline is that one, and then it's opposing member on the other side. That one, the opposing member on the other side, because that builds up the symmetry in your sculpture. Yeah? So that's the way to do it. But I want to be able to show you how this comes together, so that you can get a bigger picture as quickly as possible from this. So I'm now going to work on this one here. So I know definitely that little piece that I put in is definitely right, because now it works beautifully with this. However, the skull is coming inwards here slightly, so this bulge that I've got here isn't there. So that gets, yeah, does that hurt now? Yeah. Yeah. And then we've got this lovely cheekbone that's huge, but it's not that big and it's not that shape, so it goes in too much here. It's got too much of a waist to it. So what I'm going to do is just fill that bit in there like that. And I'm turning it to do it. You don't do it in the same position. So all the time, one of the keys to all of this is that you are turning the sculpture backwards and forwards all the time.
You find that to behind the last
yeah, just behind the last horizon line. Yeah. So otherwise, if you don't, you're constantly undoing what you've just done. So now that's rather nice. I'm getting exactly what I want from it, I think. There's a beautiful curve just here, and it's understanding those curves that really lifts your work. And that's as much information as I'm going to get. Normally you only, if you're very lucky, you have 3 incremental photographs. You don't really need much more than that between the full frontal and the profile. So now I won't get any more information because it only defines this area here. There is a way of getting more information. If Andy comes in today, I'll get him to show you, because he's found an app that gives you a 3-dimensional movable image of somebody's face that you can do yourself. And it is very good, because one of the things that this does not cover is the sides of the nose. You can't see the sides of the nose. It's there, but you can't see anything on the side of the nose because there's nothing defined about it. You can only see it in real life, in actual fact. But with this app, you can see it, which is really useful. And it's why I get the client back every time, is so that I can see this area here. There can be quite a lot going on there, actually.
We're going to be coming over to you. Here, if you want to.
Yes,
We
yes.
just want to look at you.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely to have Kira. It's lovely to have Kira here. Last time we did this, we had to get the model back because we'd forgotten a measurement. And that happens quite regularly, actually. It's you're not concentrating properly, and you end up not getting the measurements that you need. So now I'm getting Kira's face, and what this gives me is the lovely fullness of her cheeks, which we don't get from the rapid sketch stage at all. And all these areas now, coming back to the tragus, all I've got to do is make them blend in a beautiful sense so that everything moves smoothly across from one plane to the next, like this. So gradually there are no holes, no dips, no injuries on her face at all. So that's how it works there. So if I just fill this in now for you, so you can see how it all comes together. It is remarkably quick. You will get a good image almost straight away, but it still takes loads and loads of work, because once you've got the surface, you then do all of this all over again, and you'll find that you'll see more and more. So these lovely, what I want to get from this is that softness of youth that Kira has, and that would be the most important thing about this sculpture. When I was doing Felix Dennis's mother, who was in her 80s, it was all about the softness of old age, actually, where the skin becomes fragile and thin, and how you're going to cope with that in the sculpture itself. So now I want to have a quick look at the profile, because I want to get a lovely sense of her chin. And what's very important about this part of the chin here, that hyoid part of the chin, is that there's a softness to the flesh underneath here as it comes around, and that's going to enhance the way that this looks. And because it's part of the profile board, we've got a lovely shape underneath here that forms that lovely bow shape just there. And that's what you're focused on. Don't enlarge it. It's already there for you in the profile board, so you don't need to over-exaggerate it. You just keep it within the confines of that. Here I can just redefine some of her chin. We know that that bit there was put on from here, so that is already there. So all I've got to do is fill that into the profile line. And it's quite exciting when you get it, because it's like you've just discovered something. It's an exciting experience. It suddenly starts to make sense. I'm looking at her node coming down here. It forms a lovely angle. Can you see that little angle there? So that angle just there, any crease underneath the node just here has got a lovely name. It's called the marionette's line. So like a marionette puppet. And the line above it, which you can see quite clearly on me just here, is called the connoisseur line. And the connoisseur line and the marionette's line complement each other. So the connoisseur line will come up and point to the nostril, and the marionette's line you'll get from the photographs, looking at it from different photographs. So every time you move from one photograph to another, if you're focusing on this part of the node just here, you'll see a different aspect of it, and your job is to make it look exactly the same as each photograph. So that way you'll get the nuances and the beauty of the way that works. In my world at the moment, I'm just going to highlight this because it's part of her natural expression. So I want to get that in there like
It's actually
that.
very gentle in here, isn't it, compared to us oldies?
Oh, really gentle.
French.
Yeah, really gentle. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hard to care about that. start looking at faces.
Oh, it is, it's lovely. And that's what you should be noticing now. We've gone through that male part of this where it's all pragmatic and it's all about measurements. And now we're into the much more touchy-feely side of it where it's about feelings and emotions. And it is important. If you're all the male side, you end up with a model. And if you're all the female side, which is all emotion, you end up with something that doesn't look like the person. It just becomes impossible. So a mixture of the two gives you everything that you're after. So that will give you a little bit of help. Now, there are tools in here that you need to start using. So this one's brilliant. I call them surface steels, but they enable you now to start getting a lovely feel to the surface. They pull the surface together and get these lovely cushiony shapes working. And because it acts a bit like a plane on wood, where it highlights where you've got dips and dellows and faults in the surface that you can just put some more clay on. Notice that I'm not smoothing it out. It still maintains quite a rough finish. Yeah, that's a good thing. The smoothing really comes in right at the end, and I'm going to show you a load of tricks on that later on. Not now, because you'll do it all the time. But the brilliant artists from the past would, when they're doing a portrait, and the portrait say comes down to here or has the hands in it, you'll notice that the face is really in focus, and then the further down the body you move, the less focus there is. Lenkovitz is a brilliant local artist. Honestly, some of his hands are appalling, but you don't notice because the hands are not the focus. He just went like that for it. And yet the face is beautiful, the light is beautiful. And I love that idea behind it. You use it in sculpture. You don't smooth everything out, you don't make everything perfect because you're creating a model if you do that. What you're doing is you're highlighting the areas that you want the observer to look at. So those places that you think they're going to be really focusing, you make those really beautiful. The eyes are really important. However you treat the eye, it is the soul of that person coming through. So as the eye develops, you get that beautiful look to it. Now the side of the nose, we're just going to deal with that very quickly, is not a triangle. So what happens is it comes down into the face. So if you look at or feel yourself here at the side of the nose, it just comes down and it doesn't hit an angle and then come out. It blends in. So it blends into the cheek like that. Everyone's does the same thing. So when you're doing this bit you can't see just blends in to your face, like so. And the width of her nose is dictated by what you see on these incremental photographs just here, and the shape of it as well. So I've already put some in here. I didn't do it on this one, so I'm now looking at that one. There's a bit of a dip on my nose here. It isn't there in real life, so I'd get rid of it like that. Now the super nuances, because there is a few super nuances just here, you ignore the first time round, yeah? You don't try and get it perfect the first time round. What you want to do, if it looks straight, make it straight. If there's a slight nuance in it, ignore it for the time being. Because if you catch it and you think, oh yeah, there's a dip just here, what will happen is you'll make that dip like that instead of hardly noticeable. So be wary of trying to do everything in one go. Just come back to it, and then you've already now got that lovely, the basic design, which is a straight design on her nose. And then the little tiny nuance, which I think is just highlighting her alar cartilage, which is a bump on the end of the nose, comes across like that. It's not just a dip that goes in here. It has a rhythm to it. The other thing that I can see here is this lovely little angle, which is right here on the side of the nose here, and then it curves inwards here. I can see her nostril as well. Now her nostril here is put in. Remember we did that to make the to look at the delta shape that is created by the arch of the nostrils here. The bottom of the nostril itself comes around and points back to the septum always. So you get that shape there coming around. So when you're looking at it from the side, we get quite a strong sense of the nose dropping downwards like that. If we put a ruler across here, the wing of her nostril is not lower than her septum. Yeah, it's very, very unusual for that.